The Doan brothers, Moses, Aaron, Levi, Malon, Joseph, and cousin Abraham, grew up in Plumstead, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. They were known as the Plumstead Cowboys and the Doan Outlaws. This is their story. Hey, everybody. So I'm in the car, so you know what that means. A new true crime adventure. And this one has a historic significance in it. Stay tuned. So you're probably wondering what I am up to today. Well, I am in a place called Plumstead, which is near Doylestown, Bucks County. And this is the meeting house, the Quaker meeting house. And it has a cemetery where the Doan Gang, two of the members, are buried. And the third member was buried on private property. And I believe that private property is right next door. So I am not going to go over there to look for that gravestone. However, the Doan Gang, if you think about this, if you ask people about outlaws, they would probably think of the Wild Wild West and the Wyatt Earp and all the other things that go along with it. However, from my research and what I'm learning about, it actually might have started right here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania with the Doan Gang. Now, why do I say that? Well, these guys were from the 1770s during the Revolutionary War. They were actually loyalists, or what they called them at the time, Tories. And they stole nearly 200 horses from neighbors in and around the area here. And they sold them to the British. And they've also were responsible for giving information to one of the generals in the English Army about George Washington's plan for New York. And that information helped undo the Battle of Long Island and giving a big loss to the American colonies. But the other aspect of this is they also gave out information for George Washington and his Delaware crossing. Unfortunately, I think there was Colonel Rawl didn't act upon it. But these guys were bad news. They were responsible for 30 or 40 robberies. They did burglaries, you name it. So this was a real gang and outlaws going back into the United States in the 18th century. And I'm at the cemetery. I'm going to show you, hopefully, to be able to see where these guys are buried. So this is a Quaker cemetery. And when these guys were executed in Philadelphia by hanging, they weren't allowed to be buried in this cemetery. And they said that they were buried on the outside wall. So we're going to look for that. So take a walk with me and see where I can find it. So I'm about halfway through the cemetery. It's on the outside of the wall, this wall that follows all around. I did all that already. Haven't seen it. The only other option is the one up on the top left there, but you can't read any of these stones. I'm going to show you. So I finally found them. I'm going to switch it over. So I walked this entire area. This is actually a pretty big cemetery. Now, there's a Quaker cemetery, and the Quakers had strict rules against war and the like. But because these guys were outlaws, they wouldn't let them be buried inside the walls of this Quaker cemetery. So they had to be buried outside of it. So I'm going to show you now. This is the gravestone of Abraham Doan. See if I can zoom it in a little bit. And here is the stone of Levi Doan. I'll zoom that in for you. So there they are, the two brothers on the outside of the wall at the cemetery. I had mentioned earlier that the Doans were responsible for tipping off the British for General Washington's crossing of the Delaware that was never acted upon. Ironically, where that plot took place at Bogart's Tavern is not too far from this location. I'm going to take you over there now. Even though it's not part of true crime, it's part of American history, and I'll see if I can find it out for you. Stay tuned. So I'm on the corner of York Avenue and Durham Street, and this location is a historical significance of being Bogart's Tavern. Now there is a historical marker coming up, and this is an important part of Revolutionary War. So here from the General Green Inn, from here in 1776, General Nathaniel Greene ordered the flatboats to be brought down the river for use by George Washington crossing the river. This famous crossing resulted in Washington's victory at Trenton. The inn was known as Bogart's Tavern at the time. So this is the location. I believe it's abandoned now, not that I'm going in it, but here is a look at the historic plaque. So the plaque reads, first licensed in 1763, was headquarters of the Committee of Observation and Inspection, which organized the Revolutionary Movement in Bucks County in 1775 and 1776. It was also the site where the country's first military organizations of the Revolutionary mustered in 1775 and served as General Nathaniel Greene's headquarters in 1776. Take a quick tour around here, and I'll get a shot from across the street. Door behind there. I don't know if it's original, but it's pretty damn old. If this building could talk, right? Pretty amazing piece of architecture still standing 300 years later. So here is the Bogart's Tavern. This is probably the front of it. This is on Durham Street, where I was standing before, where the marker is right there on York. But it's also interesting that it's right across the street from the tax collector, which was probably the reason why the entire Revolutionary War was started in the first place. Well, that's a whole other issue. But there you go. It's probably where they hooked up the horses and everything else. I hope you guys enjoyed this. So as I was running around Plumstead looking for the graves of Aaron and Levi Doan, someone told me that there was an exhibit at the Mercer Museum in Doylestown regarding the Doan Gang. So I took a ride over here, not too far. And I'm going to go inside and grab a couple of videos and some still photographs of some of the historic artifacts that they have of the Doan Gang. So, come with me. When the British and Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown in 1781, the Doan Gang was just getting started. They started committing a series of robberies all across Bucks County, and they picked some strategic locations, including that on October 22nd, 1781, they robbed the Bucks County Treasury of 1,307 pounds of sterling silver, which is still unaccounted for today and has led to more of the searches and myths of the Doan Gang. This is the exact desk that went through by the Doan Gang in 1781. It's still there today and is on loan to the museum. It was actually kind of interesting when you take a look at it that these pieces of history still exist. And it was actually kind of cool that you got a chance to go in there and take a look at some of the different locations where the Doan Gang was hiding out, including this map right here of all of the caves in Bucks County that the Doan Gang was allegedly using to hide from authorities, and where many treasure hunters go to try to find the treasure. In January of 1782, Loyalists begin to evacuate the United States with fear of retribution, and many of them end up going off to Canada. On July 26th of 1783, this proclamation named the Doan Gang responsible for a series of burglaries and offers a reward for their capture. In August of 1783, a posse is formed, and on August 26, 1783, they tracked down many members of the Doan Gang at a place called Halsey Cabin, which was located in Bucks County. Moses is captured and killed, and so is Major Kennedy, receives a fatal wound. Abraham and Levi escape and head out to pastures unknown. However, they don't escape the hangman's noose. On September 24th of 1788, Abraham and Levi were hanged in Philadelphia under the direct orders of Ben Franklin. This ends the story of the Doan Gang and their final resting places. Hey everybody, so I am at the Deep Run Meeting House Cemetery area, and this is where Major William Kennedy is buried. Now, Major Kennedy was killed when the posse came to Halsey Cabin to arrest the Doan Gang. So I'm going to show you his grave, and we're going to take a look around here. It's a pretty interesting place. It's old. It's nice and quiet around here. That's why living next to cemeteries is probably not a bad idea. So I'm at the gravesite of Major Kennedy. So on July 26, 1783, the state of Pennsylvania issued a proclamation that the Doan Gang were outlaws and that they were to be arrested. Now a posse was formed, and part of that posse was Major Kennedy. And on August 26, 1783, the posse descended upon a small cabin down in Newtown. And what happens is there's a gunfight erupts, and Major Kennedy gets a wound that he dies from 2 days later, and he is buried here in this cemetery. Moses Doan was also killed during that fight, and there's some dispute about how Moses actually died. Some say he was surrendered and then executed, and then some say that he took his own life. So that is one of those things the contingent will never know the actual answer to it. So I'm going to take a step back. In the 1930s, the Bucks County undertook a project to go and find all the Revolutionary War, Civil War veterans and mark their graves. So if you notice all the flags and the markings, there are quite a number of them in this cemetery. You can see all the flags. I know Memorial Day is coming up, but they each have those markers that look like they were probably copper at one point, and they have now kind of corroded during the years, but it's pretty amazing to see how many are here from the Revolutionary War. So this cemetery is part of the Highways of History here in Bucks County. I'm going to try to do a little more investigating on what that is. And for those of you that might be interested, it's at the corner of Elephant Road and Bedminster Road. You can see this wrought iron fence has been here for a really long time. I don't know if it's the original, it might be. But you can see that the tree is growing right over it. So it's been here for quite some time. And there's just a shot of the meeting house. So as I got further and further into this rabbit hole of the Doan Gang, it's quite interesting to see how many historic sites there actually are here in Bucks County. But there are just far too many of them to track down, and there's lots of caves where the alleged money is being stored, and people have come for decades and centuries now to try to find the treasure that was stolen from the Newtown Treasury. And there's lots of other things going on. But it's just part of the law right now until someone finds something. So, back over to the other cemetery. We'll see you soon. Okay, folks, so I probably have poison ivy all over my legs because I'm walking in this place. But I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it was worth the poison ivy. And we'll talk to you soon. Stay tuned for more True Crime with the Sarge. Have a great day.